BeatStars.com.
You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see? You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best, see? as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best. See? You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best. See? You were good, kid, real good. But as long as I'm around, you'll always be second best. See?
Get ready for takeoff.
Check, check. What's going down, everybody?
Check, check.
Simon, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep. You could afford to be a little bit louder, but hopefully I'm loud as well. I just got this new, Jesus, you can tell it's new. I don't know what I'm doing. This new mic, and it's not a USB mic like the one that I normally broadcast with, so I'm just kind of testing it out.
Okay.
I'm not quite sure how it sounds, and it looks like you've changed to the lapel mic instead of having the condenser mic all in your face throughout the video.
Yeah, that's what I use for my videos.
What kind of mic is it? Are you happy with it?
It's a Rode, it's a Rode mic. So it's like it came with like a wireless package, so I can like move around. Then it connects to, like a receiver.
Is there any way you can turn your mic up a little higher?
Let me see.
I'm asking in the chat too, for the people who are listening, can you hear both of us well? Do I need to go up? Do I need to go down?
Okay, I'm gonna press it. It might get really loud. How's that?
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's not ear split. I was expecting it to be like feedback central screen.
Okay, no, yeah, okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, yeah, everyone says we sound good. Everyone says it's clean. Okay, great. Shout out to everyone that was in early. I really want to thank and appreciate Simon for joining us today and taking the time out of his schedule to have this conversation. Hope everything is going well with you.
Yeah.
It's been a little while since we've talked. I know we've talked and exchanged drum kits and stuff. What are some new things that you're working on right now that you're excited about?
Biggest thing is I'm dropping this massive theory course September 28th. So next Monday.
Tell people about what that is.
Yeah, it's just because I took music theory when I went to university. So I have like a bachelor's in music, and it's kind of, a niche that I was hitting, especially within the YouTube community. So I thought it'd just be nice to have this, well curated piece of information, just kind of like an online textbook that gets rid of, all the unnecessary shit that you learn in university, and it's pretty much just catered to, that modern day producer.
So what could a producer expect from a Simon Servida music theory guide?
Pretty much everything you need to know when it comes to music theory. So it's like 50 videos long. There's like hours and hours of content worth. We do genre breakdowns. We talk about scales and chords, and yeah, pretty much everything when it comes to theory.
and it's pretty modern then too, because you're talking about. I mean, you're a producer, obviously, so you're approaching music theory from a producer's standpoint in a way that you think would speak to producers.
Yeah, cause like even when people learn music theory now, like sheet music is kind of dead just because we work on our computers. So I'm teaching everything through a piano roll. It's really updated.
People in the chat are saying turn up your volume. I don't know if you can turn up your volume anymore.
Okay, I think I can do one more, but this one might be ear splitting.
Okay.
Okay, how's this?
That sounds. It doesn't sound ear splitting to me, so I think
Okay.
you're good. This thing, does anyone know how? I've never had luck with these things. What the hell do you do with them? I'm just gonna stop using it. All right, if it pops, it pops. Here we go. So, the chord theory slash music theory guide, and it sounds really comprehensive. That comes out soon. Where do people find that? I just want to get like all the logistical stuff out of the way first, and not save it till the end like we normally do.
Oh, it's gonna be on a website called prolevelbeats.com.
Is that your thing or is that a
Yeah.
third party? Okay.
No, it's yeah, just rebranding a little bit.
I definitely want to talk about rebranding. This was a topic that came up recently for me.
Hmm.
I mean, it's something that keeps coming up, but back when I first quit all my jobs to make music full time, obviously income wasn't great. I think we can all relate to that. And my family members would periodically ask me if I planned on getting a real job, or they tell me about traditional job opportunities that I'd be great for, and they can talk to some people, or I should look at this because I'd be good at this. Um, have you experienced that?
Yeah, a lot. Um, I always wanted music to be kind of the first priority, but people just keep throwing backup plans at me. Oh, like hey, a lot of people making in this business. Maybe you should try this just in case, or apply to teacher school this year.
Does that ever stop, or are you at the point now where your brand's big enough where people, because it feels like the people who are closest to you are always the last to believe just because they know you on such a different level.
Yeah,
And so, someone halfway across the world might think, oh my God, Simon is the greatest thing on the planet. He should never quit. He's doing everything the right way. And your own family would say, well, I don't know. We're with you every day. We're concerned about you. Has that ever has that subsided at all with time?
yeah. No, they definitely get it now.
That's always one of those things. And then I do you feel like doing all the really scary stuff is easier to do? Because you kind of started doing that fresh out of college. You don't have kids, as far as I know. Maybe as far as you know. You're not married, I don't believe.
No.
So, do you feel like that was the right time for you to take those scary risks? Because a lot of people wait, and
Yeah,
then
it was the perfect time.
Okay.
Just yeah, zero responsibility. I still live at home with my parents. They don't I don't have to pay rent because they love me, and it's really good. It's just I just had so much time and effort to be able to put into this business.
Yeah, I did that too. I know I've interviewed other producers who have done that, like Rock T. A lot of producers, and I think musicians in general, talk about kind of leaning on their families and um, you know, figuring sacrificing their own freedoms for, and obviously not everyone can do that, but sacrificing their own freedoms to save money in the long run. Is that something that you think is paying off for you? It gives you more time to focus and build your brand.
Yeah, for now it is. If I think I had more responsibilities, the only thing I just lose is sleep, I guess. But I don't now. I don't have to, which is nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a homeowner now, and it sucks. Like, damn, I felt like I had more time to make music, but Now it's like you make that jump and then you have to, that's just your life. And a lot of people on the outside still look at what you're doing as a hobby, and hobbies are optional.
Hmm.
And so it's a really interesting dynamic. Does that ever feel isolating to you?
Um, does what feel isolating?
Just kind of being one of those people who's doing what 99.9% of the population is afraid to do, and here you are, not necessarily with this huge community of producers who have taken that level of commitment to the extent that you've taken it, and you're just kind of, because it's like you're not on a team, you're an individual guy, you're
Hmm.
Simon Servida, that's your brand.
Yeah.
So everything you do is really kind of, it's on your shoulders. It's not like a job where you work as a team, as part of a company, that kind of thing.
Hmm. It's yeah, it feels weird, but it also feels like I'm in control.
That
You
level of
know,
control is scary though, right? Sometimes,
yeah,
for certain
sometimes.
people.
But it's like I do worry about, oh, where's my next dollar coming from? But at the same time, I'm also the person who has 24 hours of free time, so I can make that dollar appear if I get to work.
What are some ways that you make sure to, take care of yourself in spite of that level of stress and responsibility?
I do. So music isn't like a hobby for me anymore. So I like taking up new hobbies. So right now I'm just really into video games, getting back into working out and just hanging out with friends. So I'm doing a lot of moderation so that the hours I put into here, just it won't burn out.
I earlier today had a conversation on the MEC podcast, also powered by BeatStars, with Curtis King.
Mm,
And if I were to make like a list of the top 20 producers who brand the best, I think both of your names would be on it.
thank you.
And you have something in common with Curtis. Curtis also announced, I don't know who did it first, but he also announced that he was no longer selling beats. And you started out much like him, trying to sell beats.
Hmm.
And recently, within the last year or so, you announced that you were done selling beats. I know you made a video about keeping your BeatStars account to sell kits and so forth. Um, but you're focused. Well, I guess what would you say? I know you're still splitting your focus among being a sound designer and a recording artist, right?
Hmm.
What is there? Are you keeping a balance between the two?
No, it kind of just comes in. It feels like it comes in waves. Like I'll just do one thing for a while and then just drop it completely and go on to the next thing.
But you're still focusing on your recording artist
Yeah.
career, right? So what has changed for you since you decided to really focus on being a recording artist? Because it's a very different side of the music business.
Um, okay, maybe that feels like a hobby to me because I'm not putting that much effort into it, but it feels like if I was watching my YouTube channel for 2 years, watching somebody just make a beat isn't enough. I feel like I needed progression. So, writing on top of it would be good. Maybe making a music video in like the next few months would be good. Just I like seeing evolution.
Do you ever think you're gonna come back around to making beats and selling them?
Uh not definitely not selling them. I'm not sure. It depends on the audience, I guess.
Well, that was interesting that you said definitely not selling them. So, or what did you say? Probably not selling them. So, could you envision yourself as a producer creating beats as your central product, but re-envisioning how you, I guess, monetize that product? I mean, rather than just taking a beat and selling it, or taking a beat and licensing it, what could you, what are other ways producers could exploit their instrumentals?
Um, well, I know there's a lot of places for instrumentals, just like besides rappers. Like we can talk about sync licensing, and I heard like a tweet about like meditation apps who
Mm.
just like have long drone music. Like there's a lot of places for music just to be in that pocket. So it doesn't have to be beat specifically, but there's there's a lot of places for it.
And have you
I always
explored
thought
any of
about
those?
giving away like my FLPs and stuff.
Mm.
They're just like little afterthoughts.
Did you? So I know you studied music. Did you talk about music therapy at all? I've learned some pretty amazing things just in passing from music professionals who did study music therapy and the science of how certain chord intervals change our brain chemistries or change our feelings, that kind of thing. Have you looked into that at all?
No. I know like some people in my university class went on to do music therapy, but I think they were targeted towards like kids with special needs and like people with mental disabilities. But yeah, I'm sure all that knowledge it's gonna go straight into there.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it happen at an elementary school. It was the craziest thing. A young girl was who I'm pretty sure had a mental illness of some sort. I can't diagnose people, but she was having an episode, and it was getting kind of violent.
Mm-hmm.
This music teacher who I was working with started playing. I think she started playing perfect fifths on a cello,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting there like, this is not gonna work. What are you doing? Within 5 minutes, that girl was holding the bow, sitting down, calm. It was insane to watch. So I
That's
think what
weird.
you're
Yeah.
touching on, and when you're saying, it's not just about making beats to sell them. There are a lot of applications for
Mm-hmm.
music.
Beat therapy.
And I don't know if that's been done before. You know,
Hey, if that happened, if somebody has like a disability and they need some hard ass 808s, like let me know.
I don't know. Hey, maybe you can talk to some of your music therapy friends and see if they could study the effect of sub bass on the
Yeah.
brain. That would be something else. Because I know there is research done, but God, it's such a
Yeah,
complicated
that's
field, I think.
unexplored territory right there.
Yeah,
Especially like with
certainly.
mental illness being really yeah, it's getting like really well studied now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for good reason. And that's another thing I talked about with Curtis this morning, and that's something that he's, I think, given a lot of airtime to, talking about mental health. And especially people in our position, we are our brands. We're also humans at the same time, but we've invested a lot into our fan bases and into our audience, and social media is an entirely different animal, and I don't personally know that, and I'd like your opinion. I don't personally think that humans and the human brain is ready for social media, either as someone who's using it or someone who's being used by it. I don't know what your thoughts are on.
You know what? I don't even have a thought on that. I never think about it that deep.
Okay, so then that's a good question. Obviously, you're active on social media,
Hmm.
and anything that you put on social media is going to get scrutinized. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you manage to? And I guess I'm assuming that you're processing all of that negative and positive feedback um, in a healthy way. What's your strategy for doing that?
Just dealing with those kind of feedbacks and stuff like that.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, some of it's good, some of it's bad, but
yeah,
no matter what, you're a human at the end of the day. So you see
yeah.
it, it causes some kind of feeling.
Hmm. Yeah, for the good one, that's always nice. I can't. That's always nice to see. And then when it comes to the bad stuff, I know I just kind of put it into my brain that this is what I signed up for. If I want to put myself out there, then it's going to be in the eyes of people that won't like me. So I gotta be ready for that, and that's all I can really do for that.
So you started as a music producer. Um, you said being a recording artist is kind of a hobby to you, maybe in the sense that it's just kind of newer and more
Yeah.
fun for you than it is,
Hmm.
the big um, income earner. But what are some lessons you've learned about marketing songs and albums? I know you're not the only producer that wants to be a recording artist or that writes music to your own beats.
Yeah. Um, it's tough. I feel like I've been working on Spotify, and I've been figuring out that algorithm for a little bit because my first song went really well, and then everything else was kind of just like a slow grind. So it's definitely getting into those like Release Radar, Discover Weekly playlists, and I'm not sure if it's like the velocity of how quickly like it gets likes and playlists, or but I'm just doing a lot of experimenting. So people say that you got to post on Friday. I do this thing now where I export my acapellas and then I put a download gate on it. And if they want to download it, they have to like that song on Spotify first. So I've been experimenting with that. Um, but yeah, I don't know the sauce for that one. I'm still trying to figure it out.
What are some strategies for getting on release radar? I know I've heard some things about Spotify and with regards to best practices for releasing a song. How long do you wait before the song goes live compared to when you upload it, or are you doing playlist submissions? What has worked for you as you move forward in refining your strategy?
It's still inconsistent. I tried where I uploaded it the next day. I tried it where I uploaded it 3 weeks ahead, and I'm getting like the same amount of I'm getting the same amount. So I really think it's about who you know, because the people I see that get playlists, like they know the person personally.
Mm. So the playlist curators.
Yeah.
So the music that have you experimented between recorded music with your vocals and also just instrumental stuff?
Yeah. Sometimes the instrumentals do well as well. Yeah. So I'm not sure, but it's hitting the same Release Radar, Discover Weekly thing. And so it's really hard to gain data from that because somebody's Release Radar looks completely different from somebody else's.
For some reason, your mic and everyone's saying it in the chat that like it gets loud sometimes and then it gets quiet again.
Mm.
I don't know if it's because it's clipping and then it just kind of.
Let me see. I don't know what to do. I can turn it down.
Yeah, maybe turn it down and then I'll turn myself down and then we can
Okay.
just kind
Yeah.
of try to make it work. Um, yeah, so we got people asking questions. Please continue to ask questions. I'll try to answer them as we move forward. We do have some time left. Um, so we're talking about all the different things you've done. You've talked about how your trajectory has changed, how your journey's changed. I think this is one of those ideas that a lot of us producers, musicians should consider, which is that the things that we plan to be when we first start aren't necessarily what we end up becoming, and there's nothing wrong with that. So,
Yeah.
for you to speak on your own journey, was this your plan all along to transition from making beats to being a recording artist to being a sound designer to whatever's next for you, or has it changed a lot for you over the last 5 years?
No, it's completely go with the flow. Okay, I see. I'm kind of just working off of what the audience wants and what I want, and I'm just kind of getting like a compromise for the best of both worlds.
And let me. I know we've probably beaten this horse to death, but you quitting um, selling beats. I guess what was the main reason that you did?
Because nobody bought beats.
And so as that's happening, your YouTube channel was doing pretty well, right?
Yeah.
So that was part of going with the flow, just like the people wanted this from me, so let me focus more on.
Oh, actually, it was I put out a kit. It was my first kit, just kind of like to dip my toe in the water. It was like $5 for effects, like drum fills, risers, crashes, just to see what happens. And then that sold, in that single week, it sold more than I've made in beats for like the last half a year. I'm like, okay, this is where the audience is.
That's interesting. It makes me think that all along you had a huge supporter base of producers, right?
It was at the same time where the trajectory of my channel was going up.
So then because I have that problem myself where a lot of my content on my YouTube channel is for producers,
Hmm.
and then I upload beats, and
Yeah.
obviously producers aren't buying my beats unless they also are recording artists, which is, it happens, but it's not. If I had to tell you what my average beat customer looks like, I'm not going to
Hmm.
say they're a producer. So it's just kind of like looking at your feedback. So how are you monitoring your process? I mean, and your progress. There are so many tools. There are YouTube analytics. There are um, Chrome extensions like TubeBuddy. What are some ways I mean, obviously the comments section is great feedback from people. You're going to
Hmm.
get feedback from people whether or not you want it. What are some other ways that you are able to gauge what your audience is responding well to, what they're engaging with, what maybe they're not liking, and what you need to change?
I just look at views. That's the only thing I look at.
Mm. No comments, nothing?
Yeah, well, comments just to yeah, I just like replying to comments at the beginning, but yeah, there's like on the YouTube app where it says it ranks your videos from 1 to 10. That's kind of all I'm looking at.
So, how frequently do you release videos on YouTube? I know tutorial videos have always been a staple for your brand.
Uh, it's inconsistent right now, just because I was making the theory course, but ideally one or two a week.
Okay, and then how did you figure out that that was kind of the magic number for you?
It's just that's just kind of my maximum work capacity.
Well, I think that's important because I think there are people who are trying to force themselves to output more than what their brain is comfortable with, and then they end up with content that's not exactly authentic or necessarily quality.
Hmm.
Um, and so that brings me to another question. It seems like nearly every producer related topic has been covered on YouTube. Um,
Yeah, for
that's not
sure.
necessarily true, but like your tutorial videos still have a big impact when you release them. How do you come up with ideas for your videos?
Uh, I think I don't think the actual content I'm describing is what matters. I think it's just the way I present it.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it's more about the teacher instead of the subject.
Can you extrapolate a little bit?
I can put a tutorial, whether it be, how to make an 808 or how to make a song in this genre, but as long as, I'm really uh, genuine and myself in the way I explain things, and, I make it really consumable in that way, then I think it'll do well.
This isn't even a question. This is a ponderance. I think Simon is a Filipino. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Oh my God. Shout out to that
Case
guy.
solved. Myth busted.
Um, there was a there were a couple of people asking about tips for starting a YouTube channel. That's a super vague question, but you've watched a lot of YouTube, I'm sure, and you've experienced it as having, your own channel. How many I know you surpassed, and congratulations for this 200,000 subscribers within the last couple of months. I know you're beyond that now. What's your number like now?
430.
Oh, I was way off. So you're at 430,000 subscribers on YouTube. What are some of the tips, given your position now, for a producer just starting out? I mean, what are some things that you would certainly do if you had to start a brand new YouTube channel right now?
Starting out is SEO. That's not the end game though. The end game is getting on the suggested video. So similar to Spotify, Release Radar, Discover Weekly, you want to be in that algorithm. And you need, in order to be in the algorithm, you need a bit of traction. So you need, at least a small uh, follower base to get that traction going. So starting from zero, you're going to need to start with SEO. So getting people to search and find you, because that's kind of the only way that people are going to see you. Because you're not, if you have 0 subscribers, you're not popping up on anybody's sidebar.
So what would be a smart SEO approach for someone who doesn't have any subscribers right now and really needs that discovery to boost their channel?
You can, well, I just did like the tutorial route. So how to make a beat in FL Studio. And then I'm guessing if you're doing the type beats, just, kind of finding that specific niche. But I think that that niche method could work in the tutorial world as well. Maybe you can just surround it around sampling or just drums or just 808s or something like that.
So I think that's something that a lot of people don't fully understand, the whole niche concept.
Hmm.
If you look at, or if I look at every popular YouTube channel, it seems as though they have a very specific focus and they don't deviate from it.
Yeah.
Um, what would you say your niche is? Is it more your personality? Is it more your tutorial style? Because you did say that it wasn't so much the topics that you cover in your video that are attractive to people, it's the way you present them, and you do have a very unique way of presenting tutorials that no other producer does.
Well, right now I hope to be beyond a niche. Just, I want people to click on me just because it's me. But when I was coming up, there was definitely just this big series of tutorials that were just popping off. And then I had the thumbnail where it had like, this half is X and this half is check mark. So you should do it this way. And that gave me a lot of subscribers at the beginning.
Okay, so thumbnails do really matter. I do notice that you put
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of work into your visual branding.
Hmm. Yeah, those are
And
big.
and you also have fun with it too.
Yeah, for sure.
How important is that? Have you ever been in a position where you're making a video and you're like, this isn't fun. I just have to abandon this.
There's some video ideas. If I can't think of a good title or thumbnail, then I scrap it.
Oh wow, that's
It's like
really
it's that important for me.
okay. I've been wondering that about my own videos, so that kind of gives me a push in the right direction, even though it's kind of a push in the oh my god, I got to deal with more stuff direction as well. Um, this is an interesting question, but I think it's something that it's a question I get, even though I feel like I have produced for big artists. Simon, why don't you produce for big artists, like big artists? I guess like artists with diabetes. I don't know.
I plan to. I plan to after the course comes out. I'm gonna start like this little video series of me getting like my road to a first placement, and then within each episode, I'll try something new. I'll do like paid collabs for one. I'll get a manager. I'll DM artists directly, and just so that they can just see somebody starting from zero and experimenting a lot and see like what's gonna come out at the other side of it. But it's definitely it's something I didn't want at the beginning, but now that I've thought about it, it's a good brand move.
You didn't want placements at the beginning, you said.
Like while I was selling beats on the YouTube channel was going really well, that yeah, not really.
That's so interesting because that's the opposite of what a lot of people say.
Well, okay, it's not that I don't
let's
want it. It's I'm not willing to invest time into it.
because other things are working out for you and you
Yeah.
enjoy doing them. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. I think the game is so interesting now because of the foothold that what we used to call internet producers have right now in the music business.
Hmm.
And there's really almost no line between the industry and the internet. And I feel like this shouldn't even be a conversation. It still is, but after Old Town Road went diamond, and there was a string of multi-platinum hits that started from internet beats leading up to that point,
Yeah.
um, you would think, why would we even question the validity of being an internet producer, right? But people still draw that line. As a person who went from chasing placements religiously to, um, jumping more into the internet, I learned this in a big way. And I recently tweeted that some so-called internet producers are making more money than uh, industry producers with plaques and Grammys and that kind of thing. There was a huge backlash. People were like, "No way! What the hell are you talking about? Dr. Dre makes 20 million per beat." And it's like, okay, but what I'm saying is true because I was a guy with a plaque on my wall who still had 3 jobs.
Hmm.
Now I have
Jesus.
0 jobs, and I'm not making that income based on industry placements. I'm making it from my brand and from using the internet. Do you feel like that's a change in the producer culture now? I mean, you're someone who I would say started in the internet era, and
Hmm.
it's just so interesting to hear you say that when you started out, you weren't even focused on placements.
Yeah. It's the reason I wanted to do it now is because I have this brand behind me. Just in case, something like maybe really shady happens, I can still fall back on this. I'm not like a 15-year-old kid who doesn't know anything about the industry. Even though I don't know anything about the industry, I at least have I have a platform and a voice to express what's happening to me.
How are you feeling about all this Kanye West stuff with the contracts, and then have you seen Hit Boy's response?
Yeah. That's it's I don't know. I don't know, what do you see, like what's going to come out of it, cuz it feels like it's not going to do much.
Yeah, I don't know. I think my gut reaction is, yeah, okay, well, I told you so, but at the same time, I'm kind of concerned that, Kanye West is operating at a very high level in the
Mhm.
industry.
Yeah.
He's not a kid that just got his first placement yesterday. Um, and so he's talking to majority non-musicians. Kanye's fans aren't are fans. Most of
Yeah.
them aren't musicians, and most producers who are watching him right now also aren't these big time producers with tons of contracts coming in left and right. So it's I think it's dangerous on the one hand because people are going
Mhm.
to just kind of interpret it as they as they will based on their level of experience or their lack of experience, and that can cause a lot of fear. Like there are a lot of producers now who might just be scared to death to work in the music industry because of this. And I think what I would like to come of this is people who are learning and saying, okay, let me figure out what's in these contracts. Hopefully, some lawyers, because there are a lot of lawyers now
Yeah.
who deal with producer advocacy, and I hope they chime into the conversation and explain these things to people so that rather than causing fear in the producer community, they inspire producers to learn more and you know advocate for themselves and for each other more.
Yeah, for sure. Um I hope to see like just people going more independent too. That'd just be kind of nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, I think no matter what you do, the laws are all the same. The streaming rates are all the same. It's just your agreements differ.
Mhm.
When you're independent, you own more, or when you're unsigned, you own more than you would if you had a record label behind you, or you had some kind of crazy split with a publishing company or whatever. But how much do you know about the music business for you to actually take advantage of that level of
Exactly.
independence, right?
That's very true.
So what do you do to get to that point? Because you're embarking on a journey. It seems every step of the way, and you're always challenging yourself, and you're
Hmm.
always stepping into new territory. Aside from just experiencing all this new stuff, what are you doing to prepare for it in terms of information? What books are you reading? Who do you go to for this information?
Yeah. I want to. I haven't thought about it yet because I want it to be completely from zero. So even just the thought process of approaching it, I want all of that to just be on film. So I'll probably like ask a couple of like the industry, like the internet friends on how they got their first one, and just start taking notes. But I want all of that to be really well documented, and I just want them to see me planting seeds, and oh, if this one works, go try that one out, and just kind of be like a guinea pig for everybody.
Yeah, and I think that's valuable. I think another thing, just to go back to Kanye, I think another thing that's cool about the situation is that I've never seen somebody at that level just share their
Hmm.
agreements. I
There's
mean,
so much transparency.
yeah, and that's such a personal thing. That's like posting nudes, you know what I mean? You're in a really vulnerable because you're saying, "Look, I signed this, and whatever is in this agreement, the good or the bad, that's all on me." I'm putting myself in a really vulnerable position. So I think adding that transparency to the culture is a little risky, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I definitely can't say it's a good or bad thing. It's just there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we decide what to do with it, and all it is information. How we
Hmm.
interpret it is what matters in my opinion. Back to drum kits. So
Yeah.
when you released your first drum kit, that was just kind of an experiment, or I mean, what really led you to do that?
Yeah. Kind of an experiment. Um, I didn't release any drum kit before that, so it was just, yeah, just kind of testing stuff out, and still learning the sound design stuff. So it wasn't all the way put together yet, but then just kind of getting better as I go on, and then just developing it.
I I, I want to talk about your kits. You're at 3 volumes of the Capital drum kit,
Yes.
and I know you sent me volume 2. I don't have volume 1. And you sent me volume 3. Thank you. I love volume 2's rims so
Oh, thank
much.
you.
They're some of the greatest rims, and it was cool to see you because you posted sound design tutorials. I actually referenced them on some live streams
Hmm.
because it does feel like in the producer community, it was the weirdest thing ever. There was this ongoing dialogue about sound design and drum kits, and it seemed to be kind of acceptable to just recycle drums and resell them.
Hmm.
And I'm like, I guess that kind of falls under the curation umbrella, but it also falls under the stealing other people's shit umbrella. So
Yeah.
eh, with you, I saw the sound design tutorials, and it was really comforting to see the level of care that you put into and the level of originality that you put into creating these drum kits. What kind of work goes into making one of these kits?
So for the third one specifically, that was 50-50. So there is this drummer I know that he just collects cymbals and rides and snares, and he just has like maybe 50 plus drum sounds. So I go to him, we do like a big ass recording session. So that's where I get a lot of sounds from. And then the other 50 is just straight up from Syrup. So stuff like you'd see in the tutorial. You can't really record an 808 from scratch, that well. So I'll have to make that one from a synth. And then yeah, rims. The rim shots I make are mainly from claps. If you kind of speeded up a clap and like remove those end transients, you just get that rim sound, which I've been noticing. So I make a lot of my rims like that.
With a synthesized clap or an
Yeah,
actual?
with a synthesized clap.
Is that still a are claps still? Those are based on noise, right? Claps.
Hmm.
Yeah, that stuff is so interesting, the sound design stuff, and it gets really really complicated. And at one point, it's funny too because I think the EDM world kind of blurred the lines between producer and sound designer.
Yeah, for sure.
And I remember like traditionally, I don't remember, I wasn't making music I wasn't alive back then, but like in the super early 80s or the 70s, there were when synths were a new thing, there were people who would just program sounds for bands.
Yeah.
And that was their job. They were just so good at sound design. And so nowadays, we have these cool wavetable synths. Some of them are even free and you can do so much with them.
Yeah.
Um, but it's still a science, and I almost feel like that's something that is, and I wonder why. Why do you think it's more emphasized in the EDM world rather than the hip hop world, sound design?
I think it's just part of the sound. It's electronic dance music. There was never like that band mentality. It was just that you had the entire frequency at your disposal, so do with it what you want.
So you talked about recording cymbals. So in addition to doing the synthetic drums, obviously you're doing, I guess, what you would call either studio recordings or maybe some
Yeah.
field recordings as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What are some I guess here's what's curious for me. When you were recording sessions with that drummer,
Hmm.
who was running the boards? Were you doing that?
It's not even like running boards. I just put in a Focusrite 2i2, and we just hooked up two mics to like a single drum sound, and then like just kind of like a sampling session. Hit it soft, hit it hard,
Hmm.
maybe do a pattern, and then we'll move on to the next one.
What kind of mics worked out for that?
So I it was that was just at the time when I had it. I had a Shure SM57 and a Aston Spirit, but I'm gonna do another session probably in the winter, and I have a lot better mics for those.
Okay. Yeah. What did you learn about audio recording from that? And that you said you have better mics for it. So did you have to kind of do some research on which mics were more appropriate for that
No, I just have
application?
more expensive mics, I guess. So I'm
Oh.
assuming they're better.
what what's your mic arsenal like? You seem to be kind of a collector at this point.
No, it's not. I'm not even collecting. Like people are just giving me them to like put on my channel. So I got this one called LCT 540 Sub Zero. That's really good. There's one called a Black Hole 2, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
That
I'm
sounds
just getting
serious.
sent mics. So I guess I am a
Oh,
collector
that's
now.
dope. That's the way to go then. Okay, so endorsement deals as a producer.
Oh, it's like the best thing ever. I haven't had to pay for a plugin in so long.
Yeah, how does that work? When did you get to the point when brands were contacting you, giving you either software or actual pieces of hardware equipment?
Um, I remember my first sponsorship on YouTube was maybe like around 1,000 subscribers, and it was for $50. So then it was promoting a sample kit, and then it just depends what they want you to promote. So if it's a sample kit, they'll sell you that. If it's like a microphone, they'll send the microphone. But yeah, it's just been people contacting me fairly often. I don't think they care about the number of subscribers you have, like to after a certain point. Maybe like after 5,000, then you'll start getting contacted from a lot of people.
You don't really do blatant sponsored videos though. I don't think I've
Uh,
never seen I've seen you in ads,
yeah.
but I've not seen you do an entire a lot of when I get contacted by companies, a lot of them want an entire review video or something that's
Hmm.
really blatantly promotional for the product. How do you,
Yeah.
how do you how do you negotiate while still maintaining your integrity as a creator?
So, for one of the microphones they gave me, when they initially contacted me, they said, "Oh, we want a dedicated review." I said, "I've never done that, but I'll talk about it in my next video." And they said, "Okay, that's good enough for me." So then I talked about it in my next video, and it was just like a really honest review while I was recording a new song.
So that's something I feel like that's another reason aside from just numbers. This was something that we talked about with Curtis this morning. And this is something I'd like to talk with you about too. We were talking about the language that we use with regards to our supporter base and our fan base.
Okay.
And because he and Dame were arguing over the semantics of the word build. And, build, a lot of people talk about how do I build a fan base? How do I build more followers?
Mm-hmm.
Curtis King's point, I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, was that fans aren't built. And what he said was, and I love this sentence, he says, we invest in our fans, we don't build them. And it feels like your approach is more of an investment approach because you're someone who for many, many years wasn't really selling anything. You were giving fans knowledge, you were giving fans your experience, you were sharing your resources with them. And with all those that investment, eventually it started to give some kind of return in the sense of you had so much support, now you're an influencer and you can get free mics, or
Yeah.
you got so much support, now when you release a drum kit, a good percentage of those supporters will return that support by
Mm-hmm.
giving you money in exchange for that kit.
Yeah. 100%. That's a thing I've noticed when I started doing like the dropping my own songs thing. Cause when I dropped my first song, it went really well, and I was thinking about if I didn't have this audience, then this would be at 0 plays because no one owes you anything. No one owes you, their money or a single minute of their time. I'm really curious how some artists like get around places because it's kind of selfish to ask somebody, hey, do you mind spending 3 minutes out of your day to go listen to my song? And then people ask, oh, what am I getting out of that? Oh, a good song. That really is that really all you have to offer? Because we can get that in other places. Like you really have to go above and beyond. So yeah, I'm always about just the give first mentality.
How has that strategy changed over time? I mean, did you feel like what you were giving 2 years ago is different from what you're giving now? Have you just kind of figured out a smarter and better way to do that?
Uh no, it's been pretty much the same. I do think there is a certain amount that I'll stop giving at because, a lot of people complain, "Oh, why is my drum kit this like $40?" Why don't you make it free? It's because if you think about it, I just gave you my entire university education on this YouTube channel, and that's for free. So like I do put a certain cap on it, but I do give a lot.
I think that's smart. This is a weird question. I'm afraid to click on this. Did you have some weird like Tinder thing that was online?
Yeah. Oh, that was a fun ass video. I went to LA. I went to LA last year in August, and then I booked a studio, and I met somebody on. It wasn't Tinder. It was Bumble. Where there's like a networking version, so it's the same concept, but it's for professional use. So then I found a musician on there, and then we just linked up, and then worked at the studio. That's a risky DM to answer, but if I'm on her side,
Wait, it's Bumble for is actually called Bumble,
yeah.
but it's not for dating.
No, it is. There's just an option for it to be on a professional level. There's like Bumble dating and then Bumble work or something like that.
I just hear dating on a professional level, and I think like an escort service.
Oh yeah, that'd be a good video
But
too.
that's not what it is.
It's the same. It's within the same app. It's just like a different parameters to meet workers. So like I'm not even talking about musicians. Like you could meet an investment banker.
I know, but when you're saying it's a dating app to meet workers,
It's the the app is primarily used for dating, but they have an option on it where you can set it to finding other occupational things in your area.
it just the way you describe it makes it sound like a sex work app, And there's obviously nothing wrong with being a sex
There's
worker.
nothing wrong with that. No, of course not.
I'm just like that can't be legal though as an app. I don't know.
It's not. It's
Anyway.
a networking app.
Okay. I'm assuming that Bumble hasn't offered you a influencer deal, have they?
No,
We'll get to it. I think
we'll get to it.
if,
Yeah.
if you explain it differently, maybe that they'll contact you. That's here's a question for you. Could you do another loop kit and another competition when you hit 500K?
Yeah. I do. I give away a free loop kit every time I hit 100,000 subscribers. So then, it's like a royalty-free thing that people can use. I think one of the loops I made in the last one is going on like this big rapper in India, like album or something.
Do you know the name? We had a whole conversation about the Indian music industry last week with Big Bird.
Let me take a look really quickly, because he posted like a little Instagram preview, like a little teaser trailer thing, and then somebody DM me is like, that's your sample." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that is my sample." Let me take a look. I swear it's like Divine or something.
Okay.
VV on COD Divine.
I'll have to look that up. But that's
Yeah.
cool, man. That's
Yeah, it's cool. Like that might be the first place, but I'm not sure. I'm not
Yeah.
sure if that counts.
Yeah, it counts. It definitely counts. I know that the Indian music industry is a little different with regard to publishing. That part kind of is frustrating.
Hmm. Like I don't mind getting like no compensation for it. I just kind of want to just get the cloud out of it.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's what it's good for, because the music industry there is so huge and the fans there are so dedicated and so activated that can do really well. And it seems like it's now spreading a little bit more internationally,
Hmm.
in a more mainstream way, and not just staying within the Indian population or the Indian diasporic population. But lastly, I just want to ask you some questions, because there are a lot of producers who want to, go beyond just posting beats or just, posting music. They do want to get into building their YouTube channels as maybe, teachers or educators or
Hmm.
whatever the case is, if they're standing in front of their camera. And apparently I need a new camera, because people don't know that when you're live streaming, sometimes the internet doesn't perform well, and it has nothing to do with the camera. Anyway, on that note, what kind of equipment do you use for making your videos in terms of the camera and the audio and the screen capture software?
Now I have a good camera. I just bought a really good camera last month. It's a Sony A6600. But for the first how long is it? For the first year and a half, I was using my phone.
Hmm.
So video came through the phone, the audio came through the phone as well. So yeah, that kind of got me by for a little bit. Now I use a lav microphone that's connected to my computer, and then your screen recorder, that's free. So on Windows that is OBS, on Mac I think that's QuickTime.
Yeah, the Sony A6600 is serious. It's not a Micro Thirds. Was there a learning curve for that?
A bit, yeah, just getting the settings and stuff. But YouTube's your best friend. That's all I needed.
So it sounds like a lot of producers can just, or just people in general who want to transition into being more of a face than a sound, or maybe both, can really just use the resources that they have now. We have that conversation. I don't know if you get the question a lot from producers who are asking you, what do I need to do this? What's the best DAW? What's the best camera? This and that. And it's kind of like an irrelevant question that
Yeah.
stops people from going out and just trying things.
Yeah, you don't know the answer until you start doing it.
We have more questions, but a lot of them are about beats and selling beats, which you don't do. Do you have any tips on pricing beats?
I would just copy somebody else. You know, if it's something like that, when I started selling my beats, I think I just straight up copied Cash Money AP's like whole website. Oh, I think it was 30, 50, and 100 or something.
Hey, it worked for him.
Yeah.
That's why I started releasing a beat every single day of my life. So I'm like, if he can do it, I can figure it out.
Yeah.
And I did. It was hard, but I figured it out, and I think it did help me. How long have you been making beats?
10 years.
Oh, that's longer than I would have guessed, honestly.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So you started. What? How old were you when you started?
I was 14. Oh, wait, yeah.
Okay,
14
yeah,
or
yeah.
15.
That was 14, 15 when I started. Okay, cool. So it's not. Yeah, we've been doing it for a good amount of time. I don't think the same. I think I'm older, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. I know your plan wasn't necessarily to be a music producer, though, right? Did you just? How did you get your head around? Because for me, it was like I wasn't taught that music production was a career.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Yeah,
taught
me
that
too.
was just something that stoners
It was a
did.
hobby. It was like, oh, yeah, it's the fun thing to pass the time with.
Yeah.
I don't know. For me, it felt like I just didn't have any other options left.
Uh,
It was either this or I was going to be like a professional gamer, which I wouldn't mind either. But
were you really into gaming to the point where
no, it's
that
just
would have
like I was just like after I failed like a university course for biology. So I was just thinking of, okay, what do I want to do for the next like what am I not going to get sick of for a while? And it was either like music, film stuff, or games.
Mm.
And I was like, okay, music sounds good.
And now you're kind of doing music and film stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
I'll be damned. So there are still people in here who don't necessarily know how to follow you. What are the best ways to follow you? What are the best ways to check out your sound kits? What are the best ways to check out your new music?
I think typing in Simon Servida on Google would answer a bunch of those questions.
Okay, there you have it. Google them. Once again, man, thank you. I want to respect your time and cut this off at exactly an hour. That way I can get my timestamps to the BeatStars people. We do this every single week, twice a week. Dame's on Monday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm on Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All sessions are free. All sessions are interactive. So shout out to all the people that tuned in today. This will be archived on all of BeatStars channels, and I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel, of course. Simon, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Peace, everyone. We'll be back next week, same time, same place.
Bye bye.